there's been a lot of talks about Jaden Davis, and there was an interview recently. He was talking about NIL isn't so important to him. Just for those of you who don't know, Jaden Davis, he's our kind of main QB prospect for the 2024 class, number 2 quarterback in the 2024 class. And he said that he was worried a little bit about the offense, like the deep ball, throwing the ball. Any quarterback at that level, he's going to want to throw the ball to his wide receivers, and Michigan has a tendency to not do that so much. So can that, that's kind of a curiosity there. And I think we have our special guest, and I'll leave it there hanging for a second. And we're going to bring on Isaiah Hull, who we're very happy to have on the show. Hey, Isaiah, how you doing?
Well, frustrated because for whatever reason, I cannot get, I tried 2 different cameras and I could not get either of them to work. For some reason, it's just like, no, we're not doing that. So you don't get to see me. You get to hear me at least.
Well, that's totally awesome. I was saying, like, listen, most of us are big fans. We watch you all the time anyway, so we know what you look like. So all good. And glad that you're here. We were just in the middle of talking. By the way, check out Wolverines Wire, check out Locked On Wolverines podcast, and Twitter at Isaiah Hull. So just we were talking about kind of what the Michigan offense is going to look like under Sherrone Moore, and then how that could impact the offense as well as Jaden Davis recruitment, and just kind of thinking through what the offense is going to look like in 2023.
Well, I can't imagine it's going to look really much different, except for I think the question is how much does the red zone stuff change? Because reportedly Matt Weiss that was his kind of play calling responsibility. So does that mean that that it's going to look a little bit more like what we saw between the 20s, or more so in the green zone rather? And also, does Sherrone decide to push the buttons a little bit more? He has one less person to essentially answer to. I still assume that Jim Harbaugh is going to be, the
veto power.
Say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the same time, you wonder, like, okay, is he going to take a look at the arsenal he has at his disposal and say, I'm going to really utilize it? Because as much as I think that it really worked to Michigan's advantage to do what they ended up doing last year, it works to Michigan's advantage to be a little bit more unpredictable, because you have 2 running backs that are in PFF's top 10, but you also have the number 8 quarterback in their top 10 in returning quarterback. So, and you've got a bunch of receivers that on paper look really good, but it's just a matter of getting them involved. And you also have a quarterback that can run. So if you take all of that, if you're Sherrone Moore, I would take a look at all of that and say, yes, I could run Blake Corum every single play and probably just drive down the field, or I could get everybody involved and be completely unpredictable and really break this thing wide open. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen going into last year.
Yeah.
It didn't. It was fine that it didn't. But if a opposing defense thinks, all right, well, here comes Blake Corum, or something of it, we're going to get a run. You have all these other things that you can basically expose them with. Michigan was really reticent to do it last year, particularly in the red zone. So that's, I think, where it will at least start to pay dividends. Yeah. And we'll see where Sherrone's head lies.
And I wanted to toss this at you, and we were just talking about this, but I noticed that Matt Weiss, at least the plays that I think were Matt Weiss's based on how they divided the labor up, he had a tendency to show his Tuesday and Wednesday homework on Saturdays, meaning he wanted to show how clever he was, more so than if that was the right play at the right time. And I think of no other play other than the Philly special attempt versus TCU, and it's just against Michigan's identity. It has been the whole year. So do you think that might be mitigated now that Sherrone Moore's kind of solo C?
I definitely, because Matt Weiss, I've had a lot of pregame conversations with him, pre and post, really, about like what the plan was, maybe, and how Michigan was going to attack a certain opponent or a certain part. And it really was. I think you nailed it on the head that he's Tuesday, Wednesday homework. Sherrone doesn't really strike me as that, because Matt Weiss wasn't a guy who played, right? He's a guy who has long been an analyst, dating from back to his years with Jim Harbaugh at Stanford. He kind of rose up through the ranks as being that type of Moneyball style whiz kid, and having that type of, I'm looking at the X's and O's and I'm playing with the analytics and we're going from there. Sharon Moore played, right? He was an offensive lineman at Oklahoma. And that's, I think, why he's been such a natural fit, going from tight ends coaching to coaching the offensive line to being the offensive coordinator, and why he has that fire. So I think that he's going to look a little bit less at I'm sure that they'll still take a look at some of the things that Matt Weiss instilled as far as probabilities and things of that nature. But I think there will probably be a little bit less of that and a little bit more of just traditional X's and O's of, here's what we can do. Or, if we're on the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line, as was that case, and we have, at worst, a top 10 running back in the country, we're going to do what a team with the number 1 offensive line and a top 10 running back in the country does, and give it to him, to that guy, and give it to him and say, if we doesn't get it in a 4th down, then we're going to live to fight another day. Not, it would be the same thing on the other end when they gave it to Kalel Mullings. It's about being smart with what you have. And I think that, there were moments when Matt Weiss, and I don't mean to impugn him. I don't know much about the scandal, but I think my interactions with him have indicated he's been a good guy to deal with. But I think, he sometimes thought he was the smartest guy in the room, and that certainly showed on the field from time to time.